Let me record this and go back to where we were. And let's see here. So we go to open up those files. So let's do an exercise, or let's begin to do an exercise. And let's do interest groups. Hooray, interest groups. So let me send you a file. Let me close this file and go to screen share here. And then we go here. And so I go interest groups. Hooray, interest groups. Okay, so interest groups are, let me see, stop share. Let me go screen share. Okay, so interest groups, they're a controversial topic for many Americans because they think that interest groups somehow are pursuing their own particular interests at the expense of the interests of the Americans. So let me see if I can make this thing come up right. And view, rotate. Let's get this out of the way. Okay, so we go like this. Okay, here we go. So let me send you this file. Chat file. And we go to interest groups. There you go. Name. So please open up this file that I'm sending to you. And if you open up that file, you'll see this. These are types of interest groups. So we covered this in a previous class, the First Amendment to the US Constitution in the Bill of Rights. Let me see if I can open that file up just to remind us of this topic. So go to Wikipedia. And show you where the US Constitution highlights the right of interest groups to form in order to pursue your democratic rights. So if we go to the First Amendment of the US Constitution, and if I can find it here, and amendments, the First Amendment. So let me share this screen. Here is the First Amendment in the Bill of Rights. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or the press, or of the right of people to peaceably to assemble. So you have the right to form groups to pursue political objectives, whatever objectives you want. You can peaceably assemble. You can come together and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. So this is called the Democratic Amendment of the US Constitution. This is the human rights foundation of the US Constitution for civil and political rights. And this right to petition for redress of grievances, that is the essence of the right to lobby, to form interest groups and to try to get what you want from the president or a bureaucrat or a congressman. It's explicitly stated in the US Constitution. And you say, well, that's great. But like for many Americans are very suspicious of interest groups because they think these interest groups have too much influence over congressmen and presidents because these interest groups give money to the political campaigns of these congresspeople and presidents and other politicians running for office in all of the 80,000 government bodies that we elect people to in Congress. Not Congress, in government, at local, state, and also the national, federal level. Politicians, particularly professional politicians, and most politicians are professional politicians, are always focused on the next election. And campaigns to win election and be reelected are expensive. They require that campaigners, that politicians purchase airtime, media time on television, on newspaper, on social media. It costs money, 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 money. And if an interest group gives you money for your political campaign to get elected and be reelected, they expect something in return. Now, most interest groups, when we think of interest groups, we think about economic interest groups, but they're not the only kinds of interest groups. There are intensely motivated people forming interest groups to promote, for example, the rights of animals or to promote human rights. So let me open up that file that I first opened up, I sent to you again. And so this is the context in which this exercise is created. Because the people that created this exercise know that many Americans are suspicious of interest groups. But interest groups are what make democracy possible. I mean, that's not an overstatement. That includes parties. They make democracy a real functioning system in which people who feel really intensely concerned about certain issues come together, peaceably assemble, including assemble their resources, their time, their money, their attention to form an organization to have more impact. So, for example, the Humane Society works to reduce suffering and improve the lives of all animals by advocating for better laws, investigating animal cruelty, conducting campaigns to reform industries, providing animal rescue and emergency response, and caring for animals through our emergency shelters. And of course, all real effective interest groups, they have nice websites. Everybody's got to have a nice website. And the internet makes interest group activity much more feasible. Another interest group, MAD. The mission of Mothers Against Drunk Driving is to stop drunk driving, support the victims of this violent crime, and prevent underage drinking. So yes, this was formed by mothers who lost their children to alcohol, automobile crashes caused by drunk drivers. Big problem, right? And of course, because these organizations, they have to raise money. These organizations need money to function. So they incorporate themselves according to US law, the US tax code, in order to be able to receive charitable donations. These are nonprofit organizations, right? Even though the people that direct them may make a lot of money, they're not businesses that work for profit. So, they are regulated by US law to be able to receive money as charity. And they have to incorporate themselves as a legal entity, and that often involves a logo. They also copyright a logo or a trademark that represents who they are. So even though these interest groups lobby and pressure the US government officials, they are also relying upon the rule of law to make them exist and be able to function. So they are part of the political system, critically important part of the US political system. The National Association of Manufacturers, now that's an economic business interest group, right? Is the leading manufacturing association representing manufacturers in every industrial sector in all 50 states. Our mission is to be the voice of all manufacturing in the US and inform policymakers about the manufacturing's vital role in the US economy. So typically these organizations have a mission statement. So you can see our mission, our mission, our mission. This organization obviously represents hundreds of billions of dollars worth of economic activity in the United States and the organizations, corporations that are involved in manufacturing. So politicians are going to pay a lot of attention to it because they have only because they have lots of money to give to political campaigns. As an organization or individually in various ways. There are limits to how much money they can give to political campaigns, but there are ways to get around that by creating super PACs and other organizations that are not formally limited. That's another topic. But money is the lifeblood of political campaigns. You need money to buy advertising time, to hire campaign workers, but particularly to buy television, radio, and now social media advertising space. The Christian Coalition, this is an evangelical Christian political organization, works to represent the pro-family agenda and support policies that will strengthen and preserve rather than threaten our families and values. This is a very active organization that's had a big impact among people I know. I know people that, well, I won't go into that. They're involved in many things, including trying to suppress legal gambling, for example. They don't want gambling to be legalized. So, you know, that's a big controversial topic because gambling is a huge activity in America and probably in South Korea. But this organization does not want to legalize. It works against the legalization of gambling, which doesn't stop gambling from happening, but they think it will undermine traditional American values. The Screen Actors Guild, this is a trade union for actors. Called a guild is an old medieval term for a union, trade union. The Screen Actors Guild represents actors who work in film and television programs, commercials, video games, internet, and all other media formats. The guild exists to enhance actors' working conditions, pay, and benefits, and to be a powerful, unified voice on behalf of artists' rights. These interest groups, they exercise their right to petition government officials for the redress of grievances. That means through policies, right? So an example of the conflicting interests of interest groups. You know, we have a problem in the United States with obesity. America has the fattest population in the world. And that leads to diabetes, that leads to many problems. So what should be on the lunch menu for students? You like French fries? I like French fries. French fries might not be so good for you, but they're cheap. Potatoes are cheap. Potatoes are a source of calories, and a lot of farmers make money from growing potatoes. So what's on the school menu today? French fries, chips, or baked potatoes? Believe it or not, people debate about what it should be on our school lunch tray. Of course, if you're a potato farmer, you want potatoes to be on the school lunch programs of the thousands of school boards in around the United States, in the thousands of school systems, because that will make sure that you can sell your crop and make money, your potato crop and make money. The U.S. Department of Agriculture is responsible for creating nutritional guidelines for school lunches and wants to limit the amount of white potatoes and other starchy vegetables to 1 cup a week or 2 servings. This proposal affects everyone from the potato farmer to the cafeteria worker to the students eating the tater tots. Not surprisingly, all of these people have different opinions. Supporters of limiting potato servings argue that potatoes are often served fried or topped with high-calorie items like sour cream, cheese, and bacon. They also worry that when students are given a choice between French fries or something like carrots or green beans, they too often choose the fries. Poor eating choices made early in life lead to obesity and numerous long-term health problems like diabetes and heart disease. So did you know the school cafeteria is the largest restaurant in the country, serving over 31 million students every single day? So of course, during the coronavirus pandemic, schools stopped having classes. So many students, however, depend upon the free student school lunch program to get their meals because of poverty. So this became a big problem. If we're not going to have school classes, what are we going to do to feed these children that relied upon the school system to provide them at least with 1, often 2 meals a day because they were so poor? And so everything was being challenged by the pandemic, and all of these issues were being raised. Serving sizes in school lunches are based on grade level and age. Would you like fries with that? Opponents of the proposed change to reduce the amount of potatoes offer that potatoes are full of nutritional value and aren't always served in unhealthy ways. Fries can be baked rather than fried, and baked potatoes can be topped with healthier alternatives like salsa. Salsa? They also argue that potatoes are a cheap and plentiful option for a vegetable serving, and that limiting potatoes would increase school lunch costs across the nation. So potatoes are cheap. So the people on all sides of this argument have an interest in the outcome of the debate. So these are interest groups. There's the potato farmers, there are the scientists that are working in organizations, we call them think tanks, that address these issues. There are the student health, student youth, the teachers unions, the administrators. All of these different groups have interest in the outcome of the debate. That just means they're interested or concerned with how things end up. Now, as well as potato farmers. Please pay attention to things that will affect their lives. So we're running out of time here. We don't really have time to do this. So if you were to limit starchy vegetables, what would be the effect on potato farmers? Anyone? If you decide to limit the amount of starchy vegetables, what impact would that have on potato farmers? Well, they'll reduce their potatoes, right? They're going to sell us money. So again, it's human nature for people to see a world that is self-serving. So let's talk about fossil fuel companies. Do they believe the science about climate change? They're going to argue, well, it's not really so true that we know for certain whether or not human beings are causing climate change. And that reflects a general tendency in human nature. Potato farmers are going to disagree that having French fries is contributing to the US obesity epidemic. And it really is an epidemic. I mean, the American population is the most overweight of any population in the world, with all of the consequences, including, as I mentioned, diabetes. So what's the next? So let me send you this file, and we will work on it next class. And we go to chat, and let me send you the other files as well. And this one also. To cover interest groups. And well, that's it for today. Does anybody have any questions? Please download those files. And I think that's it. Okay. And I will post these files also on the Cyber Campus. So I think I might need to close up shop here to get out of here, so there's another class coming in. So bye.